This season is absolutely exhausting, y'all. I mean, I know we've been through a lot so far, but these past 2 days have been filled with so much snitching and flip-flopping, it's just hard to keep up with. Don't worry though, because I got y'all covered. Obviously, there's going to be a lot to get into today, but before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button below if you have not already. This season in particular, there's just so much information out there and so many different alliances changing all the time, and not all that information is going to make it on the TV edit. So recaps like this really are the best way to know all exactly what's going on in the game. So if you wanted a little bit of a deeper dive into what actually goes on in the show, this is the channel for you. Now, let's get started. So when we last left off, Cam had won the veto and T-Kor was stuck deciding on her replacement nom. She didn't necessarily have a target for the week in mind, but she at least narrowed it down to Angela and Leah. So for the next 2 days, she's going to be doing some pondering and meeting with people, trying to decide between the two of them. Now, Leah suspects that she could be a replacement, so she's going to go up to meet with T-Kor to try to clear her name and to try to throw some of the guys under the bus. Her and MJ have this little theory that there's this big guys alliance working in the house, which isn't really the case. But she goes on to throw people like Quinn, Joseph, and Cam under the bus, which I just thought was funny because these three all have crushes on her and they've all been working hard this season to keep her safe. Tucker really wants to see Leah up on the block since he and Angela are super tight. So he's going to go up to have a meeting with T-Kor where he's going to try to throw some dirt on Leah's name and try to get her up on the block, even saying that she could be the AI instigator, when in reality we all know it's Tucker.
There's been rumors that Leah's ended me since the first week here. So that with the Rubina shit makes sense. It's just how did the info get there, but Quinn was there, Quinn saw it, Quinn told Kimo, her and Quinn are super close.
Now, I'm not sure how much T-Kor actually believes all this, but either way, it's not going to be quite enough to sway her now. As T-Kor continues to meet with people throughout the day, she's going to get conflicting answers from everybody. I think that in her mind, she would low-key prefer to put up Angela. It's just that 6th Avenue alliance that Tucker created last week is getting in her way. But luckily for T-Kor, there is a huge storm heading their way that might make this decision just a little bit easier. See, in my last video, I had mentioned how the night before, Chelsie, MJ, and Leah had gotten together and they were starting to whisper a little bit about how possible it would be to get Tucker out this week. And so the next morning, MJ is going to take all that anti-Tucker energy and bring it on over to Angela. MJ starts telling Angela about how Tucker is using her for a number and how he's really playing the sneaky game, you know, blah, 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 all that jazz. And at first, y'all, I am just cringing on the inside because this is obviously a huge mistake for MJ, right? I mean, after all, Tucker and Angela have been like this. They've been so tight ever since Tucker used that veto on her. And on the other hand, Makensy and Angela have not gotten along at all since week 1 when all that Matt stuff happened. So clearly Angela is obviously going to be more loyal to Tucker here, right? Wrong. See, what I didn't know is that apparently Angela has this internal grudge against Tucker that's growing and growing, and she is ready to let it out. You see, the night before this, Angela had been laboring all night long outside in the freezing cold trying to finish her punishment task. And most of the house had pulled an all-nighter with her, right? They were up all night cheering her on and supporting her throughout this whole thing. But there was one person, one important person, who was inside and asleep the entire time. Tucker. So now Angela feels neglected that he wasn't out there supporting her, and she just feels neglected in the 6th Avenue Alliance in general.
And if you have to pretend with him, do it. I am too. But I'm not. I want this. I want him gone. He'll never get back up on there again.
So just like that, literally just overnight, Angela starts getting hype, and now she's trying to search for all the numbers she needs to take out Tucker. She ends up bringing Quinn in on this, thinking that he would be a safe bet, but Quinn just turns around and immediately goes to tell Tucker just to get ahead of the situation, and now this situation is about to get really, really sticky. Now Tucker is feeling betrayed and pissed off, and we already know that he loves confrontation. So he's going to take all of this info and take it straight back up to Angela.
I told you I would kick Rubina out before you.
I don't believe it.
Well, that's their problem in the game, and that's going to get you kicked out of this house. And it's not going to be my job. I'm still up there fighting for you last night. All last night.
He's doing all this yelling. She's doing all this crying. The two house crash outs are officially beefing, and it is just a crazy, fun, hot mess.
Because I'm a man of my word, and I started with you first. Like I told you yesterday. And I said she would understand it. It's just a game in here.
It's not just a game. It's a lot of money on the line.
This situation is obviously ridiculous, and I gotta say, I stand with Tucker on this one. He really did have her back this week. I mean, he was doing his damnedest to keep Angela off the block, and Angela didn't really have a reason to be suspicious. But honestly, all of this is very much on brand for Angela. All the paranoia and suspicion is literally nothing new here. From here, it's just another round of confrontations and info spilling. Tucker is mad at Leah and Makensy for planning this whole thing with Angela, but then they just try to deflect and blame the whole thing on Angela.
She was like, let's just like form something.
And she said we have the numbers to get him out.
Did she say that?
Yes, she did. She said we can have the numbers to get him out.
Oh, I didn't remember that part. My bad.
That's why I was like, excuse me?
Side note, I love how Chelsie ends up getting away completely scot-free in this situation, even though she was kind of the one that first incepted this idea with Leah and Makensy. I said in my last video how you have to tread this Tucker situation very, very carefully if you want to try to get him evicted this week. And Chelsie was doing that, but of course, Leah and Makensy kind of do the opposite by taking this to Angela, of all people. Anyway, back to the story. Angela is now throwing Tucker under the bus, accusing him of playing people and being in all these final twos.
Promise me safety in this game, as he has you, as he has Kimo, and multiple others. Multiple others have come to me to say they have final twos, and everyone is speculating, even people that went home, that he is saying that to everybody.
Which is kind of true. I mean, Tucker has kind of taken over Quinn's spot just a little bit with the whole final two and alliances being everywhere thing. Angela is once again doing all her crying and stuff during this conversation with T-Kor, but she also does let T-Kor know that it's okay if she has to put Angela up on the block after all this drama. And Angela has done this many times before, right? Not really volunteering for the block, but rather giving the HOH permission to put her there just because of her bad behavior. And this is going to be important to note for later. Also important to note, even in the midst of all this drama, Tucker does still want to see Leah up on the block. He thinks that he can easily get out Angela next week or something, and that Leah is the bigger fish to fry now, but he's not able to get to T-Kor in time to tell her this. So when the feeds come back on after the veto ceremony, we see that Angela has indeed been put up on the block instead of Leah. And to make it all better, apparently right after the ceremony, there was yet again another house meeting, aka a big fight. Now this part wasn't on the feed, so again, we're gonna have to wait for the live show to see everything that was said. But apparently Angela called out Tucker for again having all these alliances and final twos, and she even blew up 6th Avenue too, so that's probably officially dead. The roles have been reversed, and now Tucker is the one whose game has been exposed to everybody, so now he's feeling really, really low. Like, he is really upset, y'all, to the point where he's even talking about throwing the AI comp and quitting the game. He's mainly mad because Angela was put up on the block instead of Leah, even though honestly, he's probably a little bit safer sitting next to Angela. Tucker can be kind of controlling in the game though sometimes, so I think he's just a little bit upset that he didn't get his way this time. He's actually pretty mad at T-Kor at first, but Tucker cannot be mad too long. Tucker's always had this soft spot for T-Kor. People were even saying that during week 1 when they first moved in the house, Tucker was hitting on her just a little bit before he found out that she had a man. But that wasn't on the feed, so I can't confirm for sure, I'm just saying. What I can confirm is These two talk it out and immediately apologize to each other, right? And then they proceed to have what is probably literally the longest hug in Big Brother history. Like, I'm not kidding, y'all. It literally lasts for like 15-20 minutes, and there's a little bit of shoulder rubbage in there too.
I just felt really conflicted the whole time. I didn't know what to do.
That's okay. I know you did. Don't worry about it. I don't want you to be sad. I don't want you to enjoy this. You're the most contagious, happy energy of anyone I've ever met. And so I want you to keep that.
They both also cry real, actual tears in this convo, and neither one of them are big criers, so this is kind of a big deal. And look, before we all jump to conclusions, I don't really think there's anything nefarious going on between these two. People in this house hug like 50-11 times a day, seriously. It is just a Big Brother thing. They hug before fights, after fights, before breakfast, after dinner. Hugging is totally normal in the Big Brother house, and this was just a totally normal platonic 20-minute long hug in bed. Okay? One last thing to note, there is a little bit of trouble in paradise for Tucker and Rubina. Throughout all this drama and mess that happens today, MJ ends up having a conversation with Rubina where she kind of plants this seed that Tucker may be playing her just like he's playing everybody else. And this little seed grows in Rubina's mind until she eventually starts to kind of believe it a little bit. So her and Tucker have this very long conversation about it that seems like it's plucked straight out of a rom-com. You know, he's promising her that what they had was real, and he's even vowing to give up his game and quit for her if that's what she wants. All this romantic stuff, right? Eventually they're able to be cool again, so this whole thing doesn't really last too long, but it's just something to note. So far, there haven't really been too many conversations about scenarios or who should go just yet. Honestly, after this whole blow up, I actually think Tucker is looking a little bit safer than he was before if he decides to stay and play. Right now, MJ is still looking like the most likely target, but honestly, anybody could go. With MJ, Angela, and Tucker all up on that block, who knows what's going to happen. So that's all I have for today. There are still a few more smaller moving pieces moving around in the game, but that's just the main storyline for now. Of course, I'll be back here to update you guys if anything else big changes, but until next time, bye.